please let us know.
Okay.
The second thing that we kind of looked at was, what are the initiatives that people are doing? I mean, these problems are well known, so I'm just kind of, paraphrasing and summarizing things that this audience should know very well. So there's a lot of work going on right now to resolve the issue of sustainable, energy and to resolve the conflict between carbon and economic growth. Biofuels, springs to the top. I mean, in the southeast, and Georgia Tech is very heavily invested in biofuel research, and the potential near term looks really very, very good. There's a tremendous amount of incentives that are in place that are propelling companies to invest heavily in R&D. We see it looks like price parity with oil is imminent. Companies like Hoyt have announced that within the next 12 months or so, they expect to have price parity between petroleum and cellulosic ethanol. And if this happens, I mean, this is in some sense what people have been looking for, because this can be, made in a more sustainable manner. The only problem, or the consequence we see of this, is that at the margin, this will start limiting the ability of petroleum to increase in price. And once that happens, then the amount of reserves that are actually accessible at that price point is going to become fixed. And we will, I think, see a realistic scenario for peak oil. And if that happens, we're going to start seeing a surge in demand for biofuels, because every country that can, has the ability to produce some amount of biofuels. Our concern is that in the emerging markets with more lax regulations, we will see significant stress on land, water resources, and on biodiversity. So this was a kind of an overall concern that we had. But clearly biofuels had significant opportunity in the near term. We looked at renewables. I mean, 27 states now have mandates for renewable portfolio standards, and we see that people are moving aggressively to implement this. And if we start doing that, what is the impact on the overall system? Well, if you continue business as usual on the way the grid is designed, operated, we see that there's going to be increase in cost because we have to add spinning reserve and energy storage capability to meet the variability of renewable sources. If you project a 20% RPS level, which a number of people have talked about, for 2030, we actually see that carbon emissions will go up, not down, because load growth over this period will be more than the 20% that RPS that we're talking about. And so, we see that it's not going to give us the reduction in carbon that we need, and yet energy costs are going to be higher, and reliability is likely to be poorer. So a lot of issues, a lot of questions, that come up as we start extending each of these scenarios out to the future. We have a lot of expenditure going on in the area of smart grid. A lot of people are thinking that this is really smart meters and the ability for customers to turn in their loads on and off. And it's really more than that. It's upgrades that need to be put across the entire T&D sector, and that itself also adds cost to the overall cost of electricity. And this is something we're not sure that customers are willing to, consumers are willing to accept higher energy cost, if smart grid is implemented just by itself. Electric vehicles, another emerging technology. The batteries are expensive. The charging infrastructures we'll see is a major issue. And auto manufacturers say that they need to kind of build roughly 1 million EVs before their cost of manufacturing can come down to the point where it's sustainable. And so there's some challenges out there. The low-hanging fruit is efficiency, energy efficiency, and McKinsey study has shown that this is is in the black right now, and yet it's not moving forward as quickly as we would like. Nuclear is an option. It's much more expensive, and certainly there's some long-term issues associated with fuel disposal that remain. So a lot of work going on, a lot of money is being spent. The only thing I would suggest is that a lot of this work is going on within the silo that is the technology silo. A discussion with DOE, I think, they said the same thing. They said, most of our work tends to be within vertical silos where there's deep technical competency. I think our studies suggest that there probably needs to be a lot more horizontal bridging between the technology areas and areas before this can actually work effectively. So, one more issue is the area of policies and consumer behavior. When I think about what we see in the media and in terms of a policy, it's not very clear to me that everybody understands what the final end goal is and what the path is to get us there. I think it's we sit on our pulpits and kind of talk about either economic growth, we talk about energy security, or we talk about carbon emissions. And I think it's important to recognize that all three are really important if we're going to be able to move forward. And if I look at the current initiatives, it really doesn't look as if there is a solution that reduces carbon emissions to IPCC target levels without seeing some significant economic pain. And that worries us because it suggests that there's likely to be a backlash from the consumers against anything that increases cost, really. When we see some of the feedback coming from the West Coast on smart grid initiatives and on renewable initiatives in recent days, there's certainly some concern that there is a pushback because people are not understanding why these additional costs are being incurred at this point in time. So to really allow an actionable plan, it's important that we identify cost offsets, at the outset that make sustainability economical and attractive in the near term. I mean, we say this, very clearly. If somebody has a choice between saving his family and saving the planet, they're almost always going to choose to save the family, and that should not be the choice that people are offered. And the other thing that we kind of worry about is that we see a lot of shortcut interim solutions that are supported, and the problem is that if you support an interim solution, then do you create a monster in 10 years who doesn't want to go away when you think the time is not right for them to be there? So these are some questions that I think we need to address as we go along. Well, let's start the journey and see how we get to where we want to be. That's I'm calling that an IPCC 2030 scenario. And the first objective, because it helps energy security and helps sustainability, is to reduce our reliance on petroleum. Well, what options do we have to replace petroleum? If I really look at the aviation and heavy shipping and transportation segment, okay, we see that there are really no alternative solutions at this point in time that can address that in the midterm that are electrically based. So this has to either has to have liquid fuels, and so it's either got to be petroleum or it's going to be something like biofuel. If I look on the other hand at light duty automotive, which is cars and light trucks, we find that there are, in the near term, solutions that are possible that can, meet the energy needs and power needs using electrical, energy. If you kind of try to understand how to, get at that, we kind of do a little study out here where we looked at light duty cars and trucks. We said 50% usage, biofuel outlook if current policies focus on biofuels to replace gasoline. And we said, okay, let's try and see how you would actually, create the biofuels. So